Have you ever noticed that one of the strangest feelings is not knowing what you want anymore? Not what other people want, not what you should do, not what makes sense, but what you want. Your answer, your direction, your quiet yes. And maybe that feeling is difficult to explain because from the outside, life can look completely normal. You are still functioning, still making decisions, still moving forward, still doing what needs to be done. But inside, something feels less clear than it once did. Maybe there was a time when your desires felt easier to recognize. You wanted something. You felt drawn somewhere. You felt excited about something. Even if life was messy, even if you were unsure, there was still a feeling of movement, a feeling of direction. And now, sometimes it feels as though that voice has become quieter. Not gone, just harder to hear. And maybe the strange thing is, you know what other people expect. You know what would look reasonable. You know what you should probably do. You know what makes sense on paper. But when you ask yourself, what do I want? The answer does not come as easily. And that can feel unsettling. Because we are often told that clarity should be obvious, that purpose should feel clear, that people should know where they are going. But maybe that is not how life works. Maybe there are seasons when our own voice becomes harder to hear, not because something is wrong, not because you have failed, not because you are lost forever, but because you have spent so much time listening to everything around you that it has become harder to hear yourself. Sometimes, it is not that we have lost direction. We have simply lost touch with our own voice. And maybe, before trying to decide where you are going next, you first need to hear that voice again. And maybe that is what feels so unsettling. Not the uncertainty, not the questions, not even the lack of direction, but the feeling that you can no longer hear yourself clearly. Because there was a time when your own voice felt closer, a little easier to trust. a little easier to follow. And now, when you ask yourself what you want, the answer feels distant. And it is easy to become afraid of that. Easy to wonder if something has gone missing. Easy to believe you should know more than you do. But maybe your voice has not left you. Maybe it has simply become harder to hear beneath everything else. The expectations, the responsibilities, the noise, the pressure to have answers. And after a while, when we spend enough time listening to everything around us, we can forget what it feels like to listen inward. Not because we are broken, not because we are lost, not because we failed, but because life can become very loud. Sometimes, the person you used to be no longer fits, and the person you are becoming has not fully arrived yet. And in that space, your own voice can sound unfamiliar. Not gone, not wrong, just quieter. And maybe this season is not asking you to figure everything out. Maybe it is asking you to become curious again, to notice what gives you energy, what makes you feel alive, what makes you stay a little longer. Not because those things are the answer, but because they help you find your way back to your own voice. Because sometimes clarity does not return all at once. Sometimes it returns one small feeling at a time, one moment of interest, one honest reaction, one quiet yes. And often, that quiet yes arrives long before the answer does. And maybe tonight, you do not need to know exactly where you are going. Maybe you only need to stay close enough to yourself to hear your own voice when it gently begins to speak again.